Welcome to this conversation with Mark Stephen Pooler. He is a PR expert and he's got a story of overcoming a lot. I was looking at your book. When I saw the title of it about, what is it called again?
Step into your brilliance.
Yes, the power of positive storytelling to position yourself as an expert. I was like, oh, that's like my channel, not necessarily to position myself as an expert, because I consider myself as a learner and, I'm on the journey with people, but positive storytelling, yes, that can change the world.
It certainly can. So I'm a PR expert, Katie. I support my clients with written credibility articles, press release, major publication features, radio and web TV interviews. I support high profile, high value individuals to be seen, heard, and get noticed with worldwide digital media to become known globally.
That's so exciting.
I'm interested to know a little bit more about you, Katie. Tell me a little bit about you and what you do.
Sure. So I am a YouTuber. I do vlogs, like vulnerable real life vlogs, not like everything's perfect in my life and look how shiny everything is. But just real struggles, the real moments. And I do conversation videos, and I've been doing these with friends and other fellow YouTuber acquaintances for since June of last year or this year. I'm all confused about time.
That's okay.
But it's been so great that having those conversations has led me to this connection with Eileen to meet so many more people. Oh,
how is your YouTube journey going?
It's been going, it's been an uphill climb, but it's been fun and rewarding. Like I have under 800 subscribers, but I've experimented a lot in the process and to figure out what it is that I love to do and finding my authentic voice. So I wish it would grow faster, but I know that it's all about finding your people, and that's such a hard thing, is finding your people. It's like I want to find authentic, genuine, generous, wonderful people. I want to surround myself with the best people in the world, and so it's just finding them.
YouTube seems a little bit of a hard one to crack. I'm very strong on Facebook. Instagram is going really well, and LinkedIn is okay. Twitter and YouTube, I don't spend too much time there, and I found YouTube very hard to crack, actually.
I was reading a bit of your book this morning. To touch people and to make an impact, you need to be authentic, humble, and have a lot of charisma. I like that.
I've built my whole business by being really authentic, real. When people were saying to me, when people might say you need to change or do something different to how you're doing it, but I always believe come from a real place and be authentic, and that will attract the right people. And that is how I have built my whole business, coming from the heart, being real, being honest and authentic. I think it's really, really important.
Yeah, because if you're trying to be someone else, it's just not sustainable and it won't bring you any joy.
Sometimes successful people think they're helping you by giving you their advice, but when they try and tell you to change who you are, that's where I draw the line. And I'm always being me and authentic and real.
Yeah. It's like when I was getting ready to get married and I just opened up the door on my Facebook to marriage advice. And so one of the best pieces of advice someone gave was take the advice of the couples that you want to emulate.
Yes, good advice. And I always take criticism well. and I just always take a little bit of it to improve. But just because someone is saying something to you, it doesn't mean that it's 100% true for you. So take out the bits what are helpful and just ignore all the rest. So I'll share a little bit of my story with you, Katie. I come from a past of being severely bullied at primary school about the way I looked, and also about my sexuality at first school at the age of 5. So for me, from day 1, day 2 of school, it was gay, queer, big chin, big ears, and that led to me having really low self-esteem and low self-confidence. It carried on all through secondary school, only the bullying was a lot worse. I remember walking home from school one day and one of the hard lads of class came and kicked me in my back for no reason. I had to run the 3 miles home. So I left school at the age of 15 with a really bad education, because I used to play up at school to make people laugh, because it used to calm down the bullying. So that led to my education really suffering. I always joke that my GCSE results spelt the word fudge, because they were that bad. FUDGE. So I left school at the age of 15, and that was when I started drug taking. It started with soft drugs to start with, things like weed, cannabis, amphetamines. And by the age of 21, my life had spiraled out of control, and I was addicted to crack cocaine and heroin. I went out on a party night out with friends, tried a new clubbing drug, dancing away 1 minute. In the next minute, I woke up in hospital. I had just collapsed and died. So my chest had all been shaven, where shot pads had been used on me to bring me back to life. Bruise all up my arm where adrenaline had been pumped into me. I was living a bad life that was going nowhere. Backtracking a little bit, I did start hairdressing at the age of 16, and that was great for my confidence. I learned business skills, customer service, but my party lifestyle went out of control. After I collapsed and died, I slowly started to rebuild my life, and it was a slow road to recovery. And it wasn't until the age of 30 I had had enough of working for other people, making lots of money for them and not making a lot of money for myself. I had grown up by this time, by the way, and I left a paid job having a mortgage, and I jumped in the deep end to become an entrepreneur. I set up as a freelance hairstylist in the beginning. I then joined a network marketing company, built a team of 50, recruited into 6 different countries, and that was brilliant. I learned personal development, self-improvement, building a network, networking skills, branding. And then a couple of years into that journey, I used to watch the speakers on stage sharing their stories. And I thought, I've got a great story. I want to become a speaker. So I left network marketing and jumped in the deep end to become a speaker. I spoke all over the UK for free. I didn't earn a penny to build my own profile. I then released my first book, which was called Tips to Create the Life You Desire. I then launched Step Into Your Brilliance, which is an entrepreneurship guide to the power of positive storytelling and social media to position yourself as an expert. cut a long story short, that became a #1 bestseller in Canada, the USA, the UK. I was lucky to speak on the same stage as Jack Canfield in Toronto. And then just 2.5 years ago, I was interviewed on a radio show sharing my story, and they asked me to come back and co-host the radio show to an audience of 3 million. That has led me to what I'm doing today with my own radio show, Brilliance Business. I also have my own web TV show called Brilliance Business TV, and I also have my own agency, TMSP agency, which is a premium media and PR agency. And I also have my own publishing platform, mspnewsglobal.com, where I position my clients as experts with articles, spotlight articles, and television and radio TV interviews.
Yeah, I have my business. I'm trying to build a business, so I say it in a silly self-deprecating voice for some reason, but I've got this little nugget of an idea of a business that I'm building, and I've launched a new YouTube channel called YouTubing with Katie, and it's not positioning myself as a guru of YouTube, 5 easy steps to 1 million subscribers. I obviously can't guarantee that, but perspective and community and like asking tough questions. And something I want to move into with it is I want to reach out to businesses that want to, small, big, whatever, that want to include YouTube as part of their marketing and want to have some direction of how to present their vulnerability, how to bring out what makes them special. So that's my little nugget of an idea, and it's exciting that like what I'm doing to build that is I'm kind of giving lots of free when people are like, what do I do with my channel? How do I niche down? I'm like, hey, let's talk about this. And so free consultation, that's the word. Because I have been doing this for 2 years and I have learned a lot on my own, but also from my friends. I have some friends who have, their channels have really done well, and I've seen what they've done, and I've seen what people have done wrong.
Everything starts off in the mind as an idea, Katie, and I know that you will create great success being authentic and sticking to what you know and what you have learned and what you're good at, all about community and authenticity. So I look forward to watching your journey.
Thanks. And that's like what I want to do with these conversations is I want to talk to people and it to be about them, it to be about you and what you're passionate about, not just about, oh, what famous people have you worked with? Because yeah, that's cool, it's searchable, but name dropping it's a tool that can be used in one context, but in another context, people can kind of feel like they're being handled or like, oh, am I supposed to be impressed now?
Yes, I hear you.
What would you say to that whole concept of when people want to be known for themselves, you know, when people want to put that vulnerability out there and want to find who cares about that?
I think that is so important to build a business. That's why I always share my story, because for me, it's my way of serving and hopefully inspiring someone out there that has suffered. And people will connect with you so much more when you do share your vulnerabilities, because that makes you more likable and people can relate to your faults. So rather than just trying to be perfect, show your vulnerabilities. I think that is so important. Always come from your heart as well, because sometimes in business, some people can be fake, some people aren't how they may show up online. And that is only very short-term success, because long-term success, you need to be authentic and be coming from the heart and be genuine. And that includes sharing vulnerabilities as well.
Don't you think it's so sad how many people think vulnerability is a bad word, and it's like it's a weakness, it's embarrassing, like it's just sitting there crying about your problems or something else, like
And in the beginning, when you are sharing vulnerabilities, it does feel uncomfortable. When I first started speaking, I would be on stage, shaking in my voice, shaking, scared what people might think of me. But the more you share your message, your vulnerabilities, you realize that people love that about you and connect with you and they relate to you. So even if it scares you, even if your voice is shaking, be brave and share, because that is where the gold is. I promise you, when you share the good, the bad, and the ugly, that makes you real and likable and relatable.
Yeah, definitely. I was an actor, not like a TV or movie actor. I was with a theater company, and we traveled out of cars and vans and worked in churches and schools and daycares and prisons all over the place. I actually toured in London, and I lived in Battersea, and then we went to other places on the weekend.
Battersea, I do know it. I stayed in a hotel accidentally there. So we was booked into this really posh part of London, and it was one of these Airbnbs where you book the room in a lovely area in London. And when we got there, they had already got someone renting out the apartment. So we ended up in Battersea, lovely area, but it wasn't as posh as where we was going to. So yes, I do know that area actually.
So I traveled in 3 different continents and worked in 4 different languages. And especially when I would perform in other languages, I would just be so scared every time I went on the stage. I would just, my stomach would feel like it needed to empty, just like, oh, and it never goes away. And that's something I want to encourage people about in my YouTubing with Katie channel. That's like, I have billions of ideas. The fear doesn't go away. You just have to keep doing it and keep pushing through that voice that's telling you all the reasons why it's going to go terribly.
Even if you're shaking, your voice is shaking, get through that fear, jumping feet first and just go for it. Also, the breath is amazing. Remember just to breathe and relax when you are sharing your vulnerabilities, speaking on podcasts, on interviews. If you just relax and breathe, that can really help you to get through those fears.
Wow, your story is just so heartbreaking. I just imagine this person that I just want to give you a hug and just say it's not going to be like this forever. Do you ever feel like when you tell your story, like you're telling someone else's story because it was so long ago, you hardly remember feeling those ways?
So in the beginning, when I started speaking, I used to get very emotional because there was a lot of emotion to my story. So when you're on stage sharing it, it kind of takes you back there. So I knew it's my story and it was very much real. But as you progress in speaking, you realize that you have to separate the emotions so that you can share the story without getting too emotional while you're sharing it, because that can also make people a little bit nervous. If I was on stage sharing and getting really emotional, that could really affect the audience in a negative way. So it's about sharing those vulnerabilities, but taking the emotion out of it a little bit so that you share it clearly. I am a different person to what I was back then, a totally different person, but I still do realize all what I have been through. It's still there in my mind.
I hear that. I think it's also a cultural thing. Like, Brits don't like too much emotion. Swedes don't either. You those are personal things. You don't just put them out there. But then, Americans, we're all like, here's my emotions. Like, I appreciate seeing emotion in a way that it's like, wow, that's genuine.
A little bit of emotion is good, which will come naturally and authentically as well. But I'm meaning when you're on stage sharing your story and the emotion takes over you, so that you're really nervous and shaking, then the emotion is controlling you rather than you are controlling the emotion.
Yeah, that's so true. I remember getting ready to do a performance in French, and I was just so terrified. It was just like a 3-page play, but there was some really complex phrases in there, and I didn't speak the language perfectly. I never did, but I just like muscle memory repeated the phrases a billion times so that they would come out when I opened my mouth. And I just was shaking so much and just wanting to not do this. And my husband was just like, you have to let it go. You have to just relax. Whatever comes out of your mouth is going to be right.
I hear you. Practice, practice, practice until you can't go wrong.
Yeah. And somebody says something funny about once you're on stage, like, sin boldly. Whatever comes out is right. Just do it. Whatever you do, be bold about doing it.
Well, it's quite easy to be so critical after you've done a speech or after you've been interviewed, or I'm an interviewer as well. So it's so easy to come off and then start judging yourself. This didn't go right, that didn't go right. But no, I don't do that. I just accept however it went and just don't think about being too critical, because that can stop you from moving forwards as well. So whatever happens was meant to have happened. Learn, grow, and move forwards.
So how do you get clients? How do you find people that will take on your services and it's a good fit for everyone?
So I either work with people that are high profile or people that want to build their profile, and I can help them to do it really quickly. The criteria is they have a product or a service or some kind of launch that they want the world to know about, or a great message that they want to get out and get exposure to. I need them to have professional photos. That's so important. A short, a medium, and a long biography, some kind of professional website. It doesn't have to be expensive, but some kind of decent website. I can then position them as experts and help them to get exposure, build their credibility, their authority, which leads to them building trust, and that leads to them attracting clients. I also help them to dominate Google, page one, YouTube as well. A lot of the work I do is transcribed onto YouTube, and also it gets them onto Google News. To answer your question, I get a lot of referrals. I have clients that refer clients, and I do really well from referrals. I am also a hunter. I do a lot of prospecting. I do a lot of Zoom calls with qualified leads. So yes, a lot of speaking opportunities, interviews. I'll get people connecting with me that way, but I build my business a lot on referrals.
That must be such an interesting feeling to like to be the person who plucks the diamond out of the rough and is like, they've got that X factor. I want to be a part of that.
Yes, I made a lot of mistakes in my entrepreneurship journey. I had no name. I just had a big vision and a big dream. I just thought I want to be a speaker. I had no speaking skills. I had no qualifications as a coach or a speaker, but I always go for my vision and my dreams. So I made a lot of mistakes. I had no profile and I didn't monetize my business for the first couple of years. I struggled. So it really makes me happy that I can support my clients to grow their profiles, get exposure, and help them to really position themselves as experts without making all the mistakes that I made. And that does really make me happy. No matter how successful I get, I have always said to myself, I will always be me. I'm not changing who I am. Now, when I say I'm not changing, I have changed who I am along my journey. For instance, I had speaking coaching and voice coaching. So I have a really strong accent. I had voice coaching to improve. And I've had coaches in business and personal development. I'm not saying don't improve yourself. That is that is needed. I had to improve myself to become who I wanted to be. But deep down in my core, I am not changing who I am. I will always be real, authentic, and come from the heart. And for me, my values are honesty, trust, loyalty, and love. I stand by those values every day. And I just feel no matter how successful I get, I always want to remain that real, humble person because I know what it's like coming from the past I have come from. And I don't believe that anyone is higher or lower than anyone. I don't think anyone's below me. But at the same time, I'm inspired by people, but we're all the same. We are all one. I don't believe we should put people on pedestals too much. We're all equal. That's the point I'm trying to make. And I try to not let my ego take over that, and I won't let that happen.
You've got it. You're a very grounded person. That is awesome.
Thank you.
I really, really love that point about not changing who you are doesn't mean not improving, because yes, it is very easy to think that I'm perfect the way I am. No, you're not.
No, I've worked on myself a lot, Katie, with having to change the way I speak so that I'm more understandable to a USA audience. I had a very broad accent. I also used to speak a lot higher in tone. I had to lower my tone of how I speak. I've had business coaches, lifestyle coaches, workshops, seminars, self-improvement. I do meditation, gratitude, visualization. I'm just working with a personal trainer at the moment, losing weight and toning up my body. If you're doing it to improve and you're doing it because it's for yourself, to make yourself happy, then do it. But you don't have to be anyone different is the point I'm trying to make. You're good enough just the way you are, but you can improve along the way as well.
Yeah. I think that probably the hard thing for a lot of people is figuring out like, what are my core things that I don't want to change and I don't want to lose about myself. And that's another thing that I want to walk with people through, is identifying what those core things are, because it's like for any endeavor, any launch, any business, it's got to be, what is your why? Like, who do you want to impact? How do you want to impact them? What's inspiring you to do this?
Your why is very, very important, and that's what keeps you going every day, why you're doing what you do. And in the beginning, you're kind of running away from the past, trying to get to a new future. But as you progress on your journey, I don't even think about my past that much anymore. I'm more so excited about my present reality and the future I'm creating. So in the beginning, you're running away from the past, but then you get happy with your present and you're really connected to your vision and your why, and then that becomes your motivation as well. And it is really important to know your core values and what you stand for, because sometimes you may go into business or collaborations with people who haven't got the same core values as you, and then that is a recipe for disaster. I always say, make sure your values are aligned, and that is a recipe for success.
Oh, good stuff. Is there anything else that you'd like to share?
I've really enjoyed having a conversation with you today, Katie. I would just finish by saying that no matter where you are in the present moment, no matter what has happened in the past, you can create any future reality that you would like to create. It starts with having positive, empowering belief systems, making great choices, taking big action, and lots of repetition, and any future reality can be created. If I can turn my life around, no matter what you're going through, anything can be achieved. Also, if there are people out there listening that are interested in getting seen, noticed, and heard with worldwide digital media to become known globally, they can schedule a free PR consultation at contactmark.me. Contactmark.me.
I'll put it down. I'll put it on the screen.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for this, taking the time as you were listing all of those companies and all of those things you're doing. And I'm like, how do you have time to talk to me? This is wow.
I have a team of support as well that help me. So I've got graphics, writers, a VA, and a couple of others. I've also got some affiliates and columnists on my platform. So I have got people supporting me, but there are lots of things I'm doing myself as well that are keeping me very, very busy.
Well, I definitely appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie. It's been an absolute pleasure.
So the way that I end my videos is I give hugs. Hugs. Thank you, and all the best.
All the best. Take care. Bye for now. Bye.